Hi, welcome to the channel. You are joining me on another wild camp in South Wales. This time we're in the Brecon Beacons National Park, pretty much at its southernmost tip really. And we're walking up to a hill called Cefn Silsans, and it's a 461 metre hill, so a little foothill south of the central beacons. It has been raining a lot here recently, so it's extremely wet underfoot, and there was no rain forecast this afternoon, but when I got here it was absolutely chucking it down. Drove here in bright sunshine into very dark clouds, but it was a passing shower. I don't think we're going to have any more the rest of the evening, which is just as well because I'm in a different tent tonight. I'm in my OEX PHOXX one, the original version, so a very small, very low, very cramped tent. Not a great place to try and change out of wet clothes, that's for certain. But we're going to crack on now. It's just gone 5:30, so we've got about 2 and a bit hours before sunset, so we'll make some progress and find the pitch before it gets dark. Breaking out onto the open moorland now, out of the woodland, and you can see that's probably the rain that went past. Stunning views now, and the hill rainbow is right over there. So it is April the 1st today, so it's going to be reasonably cool overnight, but it does feel a bit like spring is starting to be here now. So I've got a packed weight of 13.5 kilos. So I've got a pretty warm sleeping bag, and I've got a couple of bits of OEX gear. I figured I'm going to use an OEX tent. Let's try and use as much OEX gear as possible. So I've got an OEX Traverse sleep mat. I nabbed that on Facebook for £2.50. And I've got an OEX Traverse pillow, which I nabbed for 30 quid, because that was included alongside the OEX PHOXX one I'm using tonight, and also an OEX compact 2.5 sleep mat. So OEX bag as well on the shoulders. So we are going as much OEX as possible tonight. It's starting to rain again. That's because I didn't bring any waterproofs at all. Because I was far too confident with the weather forecast. So, an absolute amateur mistake. I've got plenty of pack of waterproofs I could have chucked in the bag, so really stupid that I didn't. But I don't think it's going to be too bad. It should just be a passing shower, and I've got some spare thermal clothes in my bag as well, so if I do get wet and need to get changed, I'll be absolutely fine. Still got some gentle rain, but the benefit of this kind of weather is the skies you get, the dramatic colours. So we've got blue sky, some white fluffy clouds, some extremely dark greys and dark blues. It's absolutely beautiful, and you can see there's just massive expanse of open ground here. Haven't seen a soul on this walk. Don't expect to see a soul either. It's a really beautiful, peaceful hill, this one. The rain's just about stopping now. Colours are absolutely beautiful. I love this really light yellow, almost sort of prairie grass you get up here. There's not that many sheep around here, so it doesn't seem to be as sheep mown as some areas. But it's a extremely peaceful walk. Don't think you'll ever see a soul up here really, apart from me. So it is a good hill to do a wild camp on. and the evenings are so much lighter now. Sunsets at 7:40, just what an absolute joy that is. Means I can get out late and do a few overnights quite easily, whereas when it gets dark at like 4:30 or 5, it's very, very difficult to get out with any kind of daylight. So it's a shame we didn't get any more snow this winter. I mean, there's still an off chance we could get some more snow, but now it seems now it's spring, so let's just embrace the extra light, the extra warmth, the light of packs, the different tents. And I've got a lot of different tents I still haven't camped in. I think I've got maybe 4 or 5 that I need to get out and camp in. So lots of nice content coming up soon. Not sure if the camera picked that up, but a beautiful rainbow. So I'm wearing my Mountain Warehouse Extreme waterproof hiking boots. They're the ones I got on eBay for £10 brand new. Now they are a decent boot. I've done a video of them on the channel as well. I've used them a fair amount now. But as you can see from a second ago when I slipped into that stream, they are absolutely useless on rock. Wet rock is their Achilles heel, so to say. They are lethal. To be fair on them, there are not many good boots in my experience, or trainers that are good on wet rock. I've yet to really find any that are totally inspiring. Maybe the Solomon Contra Grip, maybe they've been the best I've had so far. And also, to give these boots a bit of credit, my feet are still dry, despite the fact this has been an horrendously wet walk. And obviously I just dunked my foot right into a stream. So waterproof wise, I've been really, really impressed with them. Very good membrane. Just following sheep trails now, not too far from the trig point. There are some pretty dark and grey clouds behind us, so probably wise to get the tent pitched pretty quickly. I know the old leave no trace, pitch late, leave early thing, but I don't really concern myself too much with the pitching late idea. This is a very, very quiet spot. I can't see anyone being up here or coming up here this evening, so I don't mind pitching my tent a little bit earlier if that's going to give me shelter from what could be a short, sharp shower of rain. Well, we're at the trig point, but there is rain again. It's starting to spit a little bit, so I think I should really get the tent pitched before I start messing about talking about trig points and stone shelters and cairns and stuff. So quite rocky up here, so I'm going to try and find the pitch that's not absolute rocks underneath the grass and get set up before the rain hits. Wow, amazingly, didn't actually rain. I mean, you can see the dark clouds that have just kind of been hanging over the central Brecon Beacons for all the time since I've been at the hill. But I've managed to pitch a tent, and that took me ages, almost ended in tragedy, because I just couldn't get the pegs in all the spots I was picking because it was just so rocky. And at one point the inner blew away. So I was running over the hill chasing the inner tent. And thankfully I managed to catch it. And the tent is all up and pitched now. So if that grey, dark rain does come this way, then I can duck inside, sleeping bag and everything else is set up. But what a fantastic hill. And obviously I do live close to the Brecon Beacons. It's maybe 15-20 minute drive to get here this evening. So when you think about doing a camp, you're like, right, you know, do I do a mountain, do I do a hill, where should I go tonight? And obviously I've picked another hill camp tonight as opposed to kind of a mountain, and I think it was the right choice because here the views are incredible, it's nice and clear, got a great sunset, I'm doing a time lapse of, and you can see in the central beacons they are shrouded in bits of really thick cloud. You wouldn't get many views, but you do get to enjoy the views of them from down here, and those dark clouds and the colours of seeding have been absolutely stunning. So yeah, hill camping as opposed to mountain summer camping is definitely worthwhile. And it's a Saturday night, so normally if you're up on the Brecon Beacons now, the central ones, they are going to be busy. I imagine there'll be people camping up there somewhere, on Fanning Big or Cribbin, somewhere like that. Whereas here, you've just got it completely to yourself. I've not seen another soul on the whole walk, so you can just meander around peacefully and just, you know, you've got this whole area to yourself. And what a stunning area it is. So I've just been out and about, enjoying the views, enjoying the sunset, enjoying the nice dark clouds. Rain isn't forecast now, and it doesn't look like rain. It's just very, very dark clouds now. It doesn't matter because the tent will set up anyway. So I've got my Cedar Summit Trek free sleeping bag, so it's comforted to -5. It does feel quite chilly. It was about 7 degrees when I got here. It's probably dropped quite a bit since then. I've had to put gloves on because my hands are getting cold. But I have got my OEX Traverse sleep mat, which has hardly got any kind of R rating. I think it's like 1.7, not very good. But again, because of the tent, I was trying to get as much OEX gear as I could. And that's about the best OEX sleep mat I've got at the moment. So I've got an OEX Traverse pillow. And I have got, in case I am cold, I've got the OEX Thermalite Furnace 8 Plus sleeping bag liner. So I can use that if I'm chilly. So I didn't bring many layers tonight because it wasn't forecast to be that cold. And the sleeping bag obviously is a good one, so it should be reasonably nice and warm. With the tent, I'm actually really impressed. The sleeping bag and the sleep mat are in there now, and there's a little bit of space along this side to kind of shove bits and pieces, and there's a bit of space at the head end to shove pieces as well. And the backpack I have shoved in the other side, the other kind of porch, which you can access internally. So I've got enough room here now to get my boots in and stuff. And should be reasonably comfortable. Obviously, once you're in the tent, there's not much room for movement or whatever, but I'm actually feeling better about this now than when I set out, because I really thought I'm going to sleep in this tent once and then never use it again and probably sell it on. But yeah, it's actually pretty cool, but obviously the real proof is actually spending a night in it and seeing how that space fares when you've got to spend some serious time in there. Obviously, it's going to be dark in the next sort of 30-40 minutes, so I'm going to be in there for quite a long time. So I'm pitched slightly downhill because I didn't want to pitch it into the wind. I wanted to try and, for once, pitch one of these tents the right way. So I've managed that. It doesn't look too bad. I think it should be okay. It might be a tiny fraction downhill, but I've got some nice views, and hopefully the sunrise will be in that direction, so I can open the door up and have a look out tomorrow if there is any kind of sunrise. I'm not expecting much because it looks quite grey, and the forecast is certainly quite grey, but we can only hope. So I'm going to chill out now, have a bit of a drink before I get in the tent, because it's not going to be very easy to drink inside that thing because there's just no height to it. There's a little bit of wind. I've got my wind monitor thing, I can't remember what it's called now, the anemometer, whatever it's called. So I will probably have a check of how much that wind there is at some point. But it's not going to be too much, and it shouldn't be a challenge for this really low slung little tent. It's incredibly snug in here. I had to change my socks because they were slightly damp, and that was an absolute mission, changing my socks. And then actually getting in the sleeping bag was another mission. It's like you're working your stomach muscles so hard, just being ever so slightly elevated, but not able to anywhere near sitting up to do all this stuff. Yeah, it is tight, and I'm 5'11", and it is a bit of a squeeze lengthwise for me even. So if you're much taller than that, yeah, your feet would be bursting out the end, or your head would be bursting out the end. It is not a big tent, but it is cosy. It is cosy, and I've got all my stuff kind of, my boots in one porch and my bag in the other, and a bit of rubbish around my head, like cameras and bits and pieces. So yeah, it's pretty good. It is just, it is very, very small, very much like a bivvy, except a lot heavier. Obviously I'm in the PHOXX V1 and there's no lamp hanging point in this tent, which is a little bit disappointing, but I guess it's not that kind of tent you hang a lamp in, I suppose. But it's almost 9 o'clock, so I'm just going to chill out, read a book and try and get early night, because the sunrise is well, 6:30, something like that, so I'm probably going to be up reasonably early. And yeah, if I had my time again, I'd pitch it the other way, because I do feel like I am slightly downhill where my head is, and it's not the best feeling, but we'll just have to see how it goes and just try and get some sleep as best we can. Anyway, unless anything dramatic happens, I will see you in the morning. So I survived the night in that tiny tent. Wasn't too bad actually. Wind was about 15-20 miles an hour. Tent didn't move at all. It was pitched perfectly against the wind, so the wind just whistled straight over the top. So fair play. It's a nicely designed little tent, and I had enough sort of space just about. But there's no getting away from it. It's a very small tent, but you know, you do get the good weather protection. I didn't sleep very well though, so I'm probably looking quite dishevelled now. The OEX reverse sleep mattress isn't particularly comfy really, so I think I'm going to invest in a much comfier sleep mat for next winter. And I think I'm going to use my Unigear Comfy sleep mat in future for like camps where it's not too cold, because that's genuinely a nice big thick wide inflatable really comfy sleep mat. So I think whilst I enjoy doing like the budget challenges and stuff, I think just on general camps I'll get a lot more comfort and better sleep using some slightly better gear. One thing I am thankful for is this stone shelter that I'm in now, because I spent quite a bit of time in last night just chilling out. So I didn't have to get into the tent until it was really quite late. And obviously I'm in here this morning, out of the way of the wind. So it's a really good place to sort of hang out, because obviously the tent doesn't give you much space for that. Impossible to pack away much inside the tent, so I've got to go back now, pack all my gear away, get the tent packed away and start heading back down. But the good thing is there's a really nice light this morning, so should be able to shoot a lot more interesting footage. So don't go away just yet. all packed away, left no traces. You can see it was a good camp, good walk up, and so far it's been a good walk back as well. Even though it's quite a grey day, the yellow sort of prairie type grass is still really bright, so gives it a nice view. So overall I was pretty impressed with the OEX PHOXX tent. I think it's a really solid budget tent. You could certainly do a lot worse than picking it up, and yeah, it's not going to be the tallest, comfiest kind of camp you're ever going to have, but for the money it's a really solid tent. You can put up with some really bad weather, I'd imagine. And of course I was using the original PHOXX version. There's a version 2 which is on sale in Go Outdoors now and a couple of other places, and I grabbed one yesterday, brand new, still sealed, for 35 quid from Facebook Marketplace. So I will do a comparison video between the two, see what the differences are with the V2, and maybe take that one out for a camp as well. So finally back to the sound of the road. So the first sound I've heard really since I left this exact spot last night. So the stillness and the peace of that walk and that hill, it's really quite something, especially considering it's in the Brecon Beacons National Park on a Saturday, which is normally very crowded, so you can still find little spots that are really peaceful and hidden away, and this is definitely one of them. So I'm going to leave the video there now. I think I have shown all the things I wanted to show. Hopefully you've seen some nice scenery, hopefully you've seen some nice time lapses, and hopefully if you're new to the channel and somehow you made it this far into the video, you're going to do me a favour and you're going to subscribe and drop the video a like. So a huge thanks if you have made it this far, huge thanks to everyone who normally supports the videos, and I will catch you in the next one.